Owen is a compassionate, intuitive healer and crystal clear channeler of spirits. Since a very young age, he has been studiously meditating, immersing himself in the physical arts of divination and meditation. During his childhood years, Owen was in continuous contact with spirits. Through prophetic dreams, visions, and deep meditation, he was able to access the spiritual world, future timelines, and even observe his own past lives. Owen traveled to Japan at the age of 14, visiting several sacred Buddhist temples. This journey sparked Owen's deep love for world culture, history, and spirituality, leading him to study Zen Buddhism, Tibetism Buddhism, Taoism, Hinduism, Judeo Christian mysticism, Greek theology, Celtic mysticism, Native shamanism, Sufism, African Taoism, shamanism, and Polynesian shamanism. When Owen left home at the age of 18, he embarked on a journey to become a civil rights lawyer in Queens, New York. Following a prophetic dream and intense Kundalini awakening, he discovered he was not on the right path for himself, making a bold decision to commit to his spiritual path instead. This profound, intense awakening led him to study traditional Usu Reiki healing and traditional Okinawan karate in his hometown, New York. Years later, he followed his heart again to Maui to fulfill a long-term dream of living one of the sacred islands on Hawaii. Owen lived there for 2 years on Maui, studying several genuine master healers, psychics, yogis, Chinese medicine masters, and meditation experts at the Maui School of Therapeutic Massage. And I may be messing this up, but Homan Spa Healing Center. Currently, Owen travels the world offering clear guidance, comfort, compassion, and healing to the world. You can follow Owen on www.oracleowen.com, www.oracleowen.com. And what a fabulous guest. And we cannot wait to get this thing started with Owen. But before we do that, we'll go to our intro, and then we'll be right back to you. I'm Jason Medlock, and welcome to Expansion of Consciousness. Our guest tonight is Owen Muller, and when I tell you this guy's fantastic, he is absolutely fantastic. I had a chance to just go through a lot of the material on Owen's website, and we had a small conversation, and this young man's journey into spirituality, into his awakening, was absolutely amazing to understand and to study. And I'm so pleased that we have Owen on the show tonight, but I want to give you a little bit of peep show of who Owen really is. Just stay tuned with me for 1 second and we'll get this thing going.
Many people have convinced themselves that they found the light, yet put them in a dark room alone and they're scared. I've lived through the darkness, the struggle, the fight. I've been and seen the way through it. I found the light deep within my heart and soul, and I'm here to show you yours. Meditation is a journey of discovery. It's about bringing light to the darkness and finding the treasures within it. And then life becomes that treasure, because it's the very nature of it all. It's all wonderful. Nature will always give you the perfect experiences if you learn to let her flow. I'm just one of the many guides, one of many teachers. Like the saying goes, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. Well, here I am. I'm going to help you find the lasting bliss and peace you never believed was possible. I'm going to take you to places within the spiritual realms that you've never even dreamed of. Most importantly, I'm going to show you the way home. Home to the endless ocean of consciousness bliss that we are all a part of. Together, we are the ocean, but alone, we're just a drop of water.
Fabulous. Let's get Owen on right now. Adam on right now.
Why are some people
Hey there,
blessed by
Owen.
love,
How are you?
while others are not so
Hey, feeling great, brother.
How
Appreciate
are
you
you?
having me on the show.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Wow, this is your journey is pretty amazing, and just when I started to study you and just to look at things that you had done, the one thing that stepped out was you are a true follower of just different high level spiritual methods that all contributed to your awakening. And the saying is when it's time for the awakening to happen, or it's time for you to be drawn to ayahuasca or whatever type of tool you're using, you don't find it, it finds you. So I was told that by a Reiki master, and she's also she does ayahuasca, often, but she said, hey, I I didn't go looking for ayahuasca, it came looking for me.
Hmm.
So that's interesting. So, Owen, talk to us a little bit. I want to really share your journey, and the way you developed all of your spiritual gifts. But how did it start at first?
Yeah, so I'm so excited to share all of this. I love talking. I'm an extrovert. Uh, Life has brought me introverted, but that's because there's a lot of nonsense going on in the world. But yeah, when I was younger, my spiritual awakening more happened from a result of my wanting to fight everything. Right. So I was always drawn to spirituality. My middle name Theodore means lover of theology, lover of spirit. So when I was a kid, I was very in tune with
Yes.
deep spiritual practices that nobody had physically taught me. And I learned later in my life that that was a result of many past lifetimes of being involved in high level mysticism, high level cultural practices and ancestral practices from all different cultures. So when I was a kid, I was very much so in tune, moving energy, observing past lives. But, more into preteen and teenage years, that side of me got very smushed down by my peers in the Western schooling system, by the Western schooling system itself, by family, a lot of things that, oh, no, no, what you're experiencing isn't real. So it's almost like I shut down the gifts, and I was very resentful for that. And at that side, I was a wrestler. I was a martial artist with karate at the very beginning of my big awakening, big dark night of soul, Shaolin as a kid. And I was always a really good high level fighter. But everything that wasn't love was my enemy, and that's really no way to live. I mean, I was really animated towards all of the uh, what I perceived to be evils in the world.
So
Uh,
so as a young boy, how do you decipher in your head what exactly am I seeing here? I'm in contact with uh, things that I don't understand. Some kids do understand because they're told by the actual spirit. But what are you saying to yourself? What are you saying to people around you when you're being contacted by spirits and you're experiencing the spiritual realm? I mean, how did that? transpire as far as, what were you saying to people around you, or what did you actually experience?
So yeah, there's several things that come to answer that question. But as a kid, kids are very open, but kids need boundaries. Even very wise old souls need boundaries. And if their boundaries aren't set up in a way that allows structural freedom, like a house or a home creates a set, or a temple creates a sense of boundaries, structure that creates freedom and creates exploration and wisdom. But when you're experiencing something like myself, whereas I'm talking about my past life as a caveman, or a past life as a yogi, or a Indian emperor, or a chieftain, or a kung fu master, if you don't have the right community, it takes a tribe to raise anyone. Uh, then those sort of gifts get put down, but they get grounded. So it's not a bad thing. You get planted, you get put in the dirt, you get poo-pooed, you get covered with a bunch of BS, but that's fertility for your growth. So when you're in that deep darkness, when people aren't understanding what you're channeling, where it's coming from, it oftentimes scares people who aren't already attuned to a certain level of channeling. Uh, that allows you to ground it. And part of the grounding of the divination arts, or the channeling arts, is being able to practically describe your experiences to somebody who speaks a different language, not just another cultural language, but another mental language. So
Right.
as a kid, I didn't know how to explain in other people's language what I was experiencing. So I would be practicing intuitive qigong moves and being a little Padawan, being a little Jedi, and people would be like, "Oh no, no, that's not real. Don't do that." Or I would say something like, I would start talking about a past life that I experienced and some of the wisdom and karma coming through that, and they go, "Oh no, no, that doesn't exist." Um, but when you're grounded in it, when you get the practical wisdom, like Tibetan Buddhism, Native American shamanism has a lot to do with how our life, death, and rebirth cycles, and
Yes.
Indian Hinduism as well, Buddhism, a lot of different cultures have this wisdom about cycles of reincarnation. Then you could start to see the patterns of what you are experiencing, which beings are you working with, which people, which souls are you working with, and in that sense, having a guru, having a teacher, someone who comes into your life when you're ready, as you were talking about before, that's what changes it for you. That's what makes it so when you're channeling somebody's ancestor, when you're channeling somebody's past relative, when you're channeling someone's spirit guide, you can have the egolessness to say, "This is through me, not from me."
Right. So I'm gonna rewind you a little bit. So you were 14 when you took this journey on. You went and visited a number of Buddhist temples, and that actually sparked your journey for spirituality. But talk us through that, because you studied Zen Buddhism, Tibetan Buddhism, Taoism. You studied a number of spiritual modalities, and different types of religions. Can you talk to us about that a little bit?
Yeah, so the Hopi Nation, as well as the Cree Nation in the Native American tribes here in the Americas, have a prophecy of the Rainbow Warriors, the warriors of the rainbow that would come
Yes.
together from all different cultures to form one healing, powerful tribe, a new tribe. And so, going to Japan, and also I spent a lot of time as a kid and teen in Hawaii. journeying to Hawaii, visiting some family friends, going on some journeys in that sense. What you realize if you're open to it, the places you're drawn to from your heart is not something outside of you pulling you in, but it's actually something inside of you asking to be looked at. So as
Yes.
I was talking about my personal karma of this warrior energy, this wounded warrior, I want to fight everything, everything's uh, in conflict. That was very present in Japan. But at the same time, throughout that very rebellious punk younger years in my upbringing at that time, was this I was meditating deeply every single day of my life. Deeply,
Mm.
deeply meditating. So there was this kind of Zen, Bushido, samurai energy, and then it was presented to me in the physical world through that trip to the uh, Imperial Shogunate Gardens in Tokyo and several Buddhist temples. I
Right.
was able to tune in to, okay, what am I learning from this? How can I balance this powerful protector energy that I have, this warrior energy that serves a purpose, that competitive drive that New York, if you don't perform elite level, then you fall to the dust. Uh, that has its purpose in balance with that Zen, Wu Wei, oftentimes nonsensical, hilarious, fun way of experiencing spirituality. So
Hmm.
if you look at people that are hyper successful, I like to say that you need power before you can have peace. If you look at all of nature, there's no peace for those who don't have power, right? So there's a little bug getting squashed. There's a little baby animal is the most vulnerable uh, being on the planet. But when you have power, when you have that bear like power where you are dominating your environment with your intention, which can be love, can be compassion, can be anything you want it to be, then you can have peace. But there's no peace for people who don't have power. And that could be spiritual power, that could be love power, that could be physical power. I mean, just look at Mike Tyson. He's like going through this beautiful sage phase of his life where he's teaching people so much that he's learned over the years through his warrior practice. But
Right.
he has that power, he has that physical power, fighting power, financial power to experience his inner world and share his inner world without crumbling in the outside forces, which is huge because your soul has to be strong enough. Your energy, your emotions, energies in motion have to be strong enough to overcome the deceptions and the lies and the hatred in the world. Because if you can't overcome that, then you could have the most beautiful soul in the world. Doesn't matter. Nobody's going to see it. Nobody's
Yeah.
going to see the shine. Nobody's going to hear the music because you have to be strong enough in whatever way your spirit embodies strength, or else it'll just be smushed. Especially because we have so many people on the planet right now. It's like where I'm from, we have if you can make it in New York, you can make it anywhere because it's almost impossible to make it in New York. It's hard. So you
I,
have to compete.
you're right. I want to go back to the temples, the different temples that you visited, and you mentioned something about energy. And in my research and just reading books and following a lot of the energy healers out there, uh, when you visit these type temples, including the pyramids, there's a certain amount of energy that a person who's attuned to it, you can actually feel it. Have you ever experienced that?
Oh yeah. And so just I love Star Wars. Everybody who knows me closely knows I love Star Wars. I'm a
Okay,
Jedi.
me too.
So when you look at these places, there's a spectrum, right? So there's very low density, very low vibration, which we would consider the dark side or the
Yes.
ignorant side. And then you have the very high vibration, light side. And it needs balance. It's always seeking balance. So when I went to this temple, the Imperial Shogunate Gardens is this beautiful, beautiful place with temples and old mansions
Right.
and housing for the samurai, but there was a darkness there. But it was balanced because of the spirituality of Buddhism, and specifically Zen Buddhism, which was more so brought over from China as mixed in with hints of Taoism and Qi practice, which became
Yes.
Qigong, became Reiki. So at one point in time, this gardens, this great fortress is really what it is at the central aspect of Tokyo. It was a very dark place. It was like the shoguns were like the Roman Empire, they're like the American Empire. They had the boot on the Japanese people's throats,
Mm.
not letting up, dominating them until times change and more powerful forces come along. But then gardeners come, and Buddhist monks come, and Reiki healers come and start to shift that vibration. And also the flip side, just to show the balance of these universal forces. When you go to the Buddhist temples there, um, they have this powerful Zen energy, a lot of people, but a lot of Buddhists I've met
Mhm.
in Japan are very depressed because they have this great self development religion. Buddhism is very self oriented in how you can work towards enlightenment and how everything happens from within. So there's this disconnection from a more Taoist or a more shamanist point of view, or even a Jewish or Christian point of view, whereas there's this great spirit. There's this
Mhm.
great spirit that's working through all of us and holding us. Buddhism has hints of that, but I could see very clearly that a lot of people were very depressed from having this religion that is incomplete, um,
Right.
and having precepts. Just as I was saying with boundaries, boundaries can be good, but at the same time, boundaries can become a prison and a cage. So these precepts of Buddhism, they're very extremely helpful to a lot of people, my teachers, myself. But when you get locked into that, then you can become depressed. Tokyo has a lot of suicides,
Wow.
and that's not directly attributed to that. That has a lot of factors uh, go into that, and one of them is the lack of individuality. There's a
Mhm.
big conformist kind of culture in Japan, which is being countered by this like anime, very creative, colorful. It's very interesting, very, very strange place. And it's completely different than anything you'll find in the
Yeah.
global culture, because you have people that are dressed black and white, suit and tie, men and women going to office buildings, very strict, very business oriented. And then a group of them will dress up like Pikachu on their lunch break, grown adults. And you're like looking
Yes.
around like, where am I? And then you have Buddhist monks going over to the temples and the gardens and all the different types of Buddhism, very different variations of Buddhism. I personally lean towards Zen because there's a humor to it. There's a lightness to it. Zen is like when you meet a Zen master, they usually like to poke at your uh, triggers. So
Right.
they'll see you, they'll see right through you if
Mhm.
they're good enough Zen master, and they'll go, "Oh, what about this? Oh, how is this?" Or like also bringing you out of the mind is a huge part of Zen Buddhism, getting more into your body. Whereas, like, some of the Zen koans, the proverbs, will be completely nonsensical. They won't make any sense whatsoever, but it's literally the intent of the Zen master is to confuse you enough to stop thinking. Like, you're thinking so hard, and then you're like, oh, that's
So
not useful.
Zen, I mean Buddhism, shamanism, Polynesian shamanism. You've done a lot, and you started that journey at 14 when you went to Japan. But by the time you were 18, you were embracing a new career. You were going to be a civil rights lawyer in Queens, New York. But then you had a Kundalini awakening. Can you tell us about that?
Oh gosh. Yeah, very I don't want to say traumatic, but yeah, I mean traumatic. It was very much so. I was at St. John's University in Jamaica, Queens, and uh had some really good teachers who were kind of like unlocking different parts of my mind that were kind of locked up in different religious beliefs. And basically what happened was it was like the phoenix rising out of the ashes. So a lot of people describe the
Yes.
Kundalini as the dragon. For me, it was a phoenix. For me, it was like lighting on fire, and fire was a huge theme. This I would have visions of just burning up and being in all these different colored fires, and it was burning away everything that was BS, all the religious beliefs that had been forced upon me, all of the societal beliefs that had been forced upon me. And through that burning up, that fire is powerful. And that's when I started really feeling this universal force. But I didn't
It's
have a
Christ
guru.
consciousness.
Yeah, at that time, I didn't have a guru.
Yes.
So I didn't have a true teacher to take me out of that darkness. So it was explosive. It was like, I know I have this power within me to heal, to fight, to do all of these things with this universal force. But I wasn't able to channel it. I didn't know how to channel it. So it became very explosive, and all
Mm.
of the nonsense just lighting on fire in my mind, in my body, in my diet.
Mm.
I had to switch immediately to first pescatarian, then vegetarian, then vegan, because I would literally have dreams and channel and feel uh, the pain and the suffering of these animals.
My
Uh,
spiritual teacher, the same exact thing. She went through pescatarian, vegan. She went through all of them trying to figure out what to eat because the spiritual awakening was so intense for her.
mm,
And it's amazing to hear you say the same thing.
absolutely. And the shining light, I loved earlier in the show, you said something about how teachers find you or experiences find
Right.
you when you're
Right. You
ready.
don't find it.
Yeah, so crystals called me in. So I was just like,
I love
I
crystals.
was in the ashes phase. I was in the ashes phase, about 19 years old. Um, and I just was like, I really love crystals, but I've never really gone out searching for them. So I went into my hometown, uh, was planning on going somewhere completely different, and I just get this ringing in my ears, like big
Wow.
time ringing in my right ear. And I turn to my right, and my now friend Navi's store, Gurus, and I walk inside and I meet Hector, who's my Reiki master, and he was really my root guru. He was the one who was able to take me from that ashes and like, okay, how can you rebuild? How can you become magical through this? And he taught me Reiki. He connected me to my Egyptian and Atlantean ancestry. My great grandma was Ashkenazi Jewish, which is Israeli, Persian, and Egyptian.
Wow.
So he is a powerful shaman from Dominican Republic, very heart centered, very love centered, and I would just go be with him to bask in his healing energy. And he initiated me in Reiki level 1 and 2 right away. He was kind of like, you've been needing this for years. You
Let
really,
me do a quick reset. You're listening to Expansion of Consciousness. You can follow us on YouTube at Expansion of Consciousness. You can follow us on Instagram at Expansion of Conscience. I'm here having a conversation with Owen, Oracle Owen, as they call him. But you go ahead, Owen. I just wanted to do a quick research and let everybody know, what we're doing and who you are. And also you can visit Owen at www.oracleowen.com. And if you want to send an email to Owen, you can email him at Owen Muller or Muller.
either way.
Okay.
Muller is the authentic Swiss German pronunciation. So
Owen Muller at 777 at gmail.com. Owen is a medium, psychic, a Reiki, energy healer. But Owen offers a number of services, and we're going to get to those a little bit later. But Owen, I hate to interrupt you, but go ahead and finish.
oh, it's all good. It's a good reset because when you have that teacher, I don't want to just relate it to my teacher, and I've had quite a few really powerful teachers, especially my teachers on Maui. When you have that teacher, that special teacher, you'll know. It's like how people say in relationships when they've kind of found one of their soulmates, they're like, I just knew in my heart. That's what your guru will feel like. And I made it do
One
that.
of my teachers is from Maui.
Yeah, Maui
His name,
Mystery School.
his name is David Wallace. He's one of the top psychics in Hawaii. Does a lot of associate remote viewing. Does a lot of Reiki. David also performs medical intuitive remote viewing, which is out of this world. He can identify different medical issues in your body just by performing a remote viewing technique. But yeah, David Wallace, he's out there too. Yeah.
Yeah, so Maui is a powerful mystery magic school.
Oh, wow.
So just to name a few of the teachers that have really shifted my life powerfully, my brother Alton Sanders,
Right.
TJ Frank, Chinese medicine master, Gina Nalawai, Hawaiian Lomi Lomi master, and then Roy Kiyoshi Goya, my psychic teacher. He's a wonderful person. He actually just recently learned that his Japanese ancestors that came to Maui had to renounce their royalty. They were royalty in Japan, but they had to renounce it to become an American citizen. So my training with Roy was really seeing how an elder master level psychic operates. And I didn't even know I was training. I was going to get readings from him. And by the time we had completed what I was meant to learn from him, he said, now you are going to go do this for the world. And at first I was like, whoa, hold up. He's like, you're going to do what I do for the world. And it happened. I mean, it didn't happen overnight, but progressively over that year, I was doing past life readings and channelings for many people around the world, all the way, some in the United Kingdom, some in Dubai, some in like Iran, some in South America, all around America. It just like kind of blew up in a good way. So that's really something that I feel like people don't realize is that the more steps you take in a definitive path, this is one of the Buddhist concepts that's really powerful and useful, is one-mindedness, centeredness, focus. If you start walking down one path, you will start to have all of these things unfold in your life because there's already people along that path. So if you try to make some modality up out of nowhere, like, okay, I'm gonna make the flying rainbow healing technique. It's gonna be hard because there's no path created for that already. But when
Sure.
you step into a path that has been paved already for thousands of years, meditation, mysticism, divination, qigong, reiki, to just center it to what path I'm walking, it's like you meet people that it just blow your mind. It's
Yes.
just what happens along that path because it's cleared.
Yes. So, Owen, tell me this. All these different modalities. You have psychic abilities, you have healing abilities, you understand the art of meditation, yoga, Chinese medicine, just a number of different things you've been exposed to, therapeutic um, um, uh, modalities, a number of things. Have you found, and I have, and I just want to know, have you found that every modality, whether it's being a medium, whether it's connecting from the heart space, whether it's connecting from the crown chakra, whether you're channeling, whatever you're doing, all starts with meditation or a level of awareness within yourself to get to a plateau of stillness, like a level of transcendence.
Yeah, so just to break it down, meditation is a Greek word. So medi means center, and then tation is like the act of doing something or achieving something. So I would totally agree.
Yes.
Everyone's really trying to meditate at some level. And you have to understand, like my sensei from karate taught me, and what we always know at any point in time is there's active meditation and passive meditation.
Mm-hmm.
Active meditation would be something like surfing, something like qigong, something like massage therapy, where you're actively performing something. Dance is a huge one. Singing, anything active that can you bring you into the center space. And
Mm-hmm.
then you have passive meditation, more Zen meditation, where you're going inward. And Reiki, I would consider Reiki a passive
Yes.
meditation because you're channeling, and divination and psychic medium work is also a passive meditation because it's the yin, it's the feminine, it's the goddess, it's being open to receive and be a fountain rather than being like the active fiery force of athletics. Or that's what people don't get about meditation. That's why most people in the mainstream fail at higher levels of meditation, because they don't realize meditation is everything.
Right.
Every single thing can be meditation if you center yourself. Martial arts can be extremely meditative because it brings you into the present moment. So you see these high level athletes like Michael Jordan, Mike Tyson. Michael Jordan went to the next level and became this super figure with the Zen master, Phil Jackson.
Yes.
So Phil Jackson was teaching the Chicago Bulls when he became the head coach. He was teaching them meditation. He was teaching them shamanism from a Native American tribe that he had grown up with and learned from. He was smudging the locker rooms with sage after a loss. He was having them play in the dark. He was teaching them yoga, uh, deeper levels of meditation, and then they started winning. Then they started performing in that high level. So that's what it goes back to what I was saying before about boundaries are good if they're good boundaries, but boundaries can also be a prison. So if you are conformed to a certain belief system, usually religion, science, I would consider a religion now too, a cult.
Mm-hmm.
Um, when you're locked in to a certain set of precepts, what it does is prevent you from experiencing higher levels of meditation because you're thinking this is the only way. So
Right.
when people hit a wall, right, in meditation, and somebody's teaching them their upa guru, the fake guru, is teaching them this is the only way, you have to do it this way, or they're doing that, or their parents are doing that, and they hit a wall, and then they just keep hitting the wall, and then they give up because they weren't supposed to go that way. But what I've found is there was a certain threshold in which the Tao, the yin yang, the feminine and masculine, wants to go the other way. So, right, you're yin, you're meditating inwards until a certain point you can over rest. And then your body says, no, I need to do activity now. Now I
Right.
go surfing. Now I go hiking. Now I go crystal hunting. Now I go gardening, qigong, active. And then when I start to feel burnt out right before I get burnt out, switch it up. Back to rest. Take a nap. Nourish yourself. Get some good organic food in you. Get some fruits and veggies, some juices in you.
Right.
That's the flow of meditation. So anyone who's not currently meditating, consciously, because everyone does it at night when they go to sleep.
Mhm.
That's a deep level of meditation. Uh, I just encourage you to find your meditation. Might be reading, might be taking a walk out in nature, might be uh, herbology, whatever it is. As long as it gets you centered, as long as you feel like I'm in the center of my being and I could shine forth from there. That's meditation. Doesn't
Right.
need a precept, doesn't need a conditioning, doesn't need strict boundaries. That's just to keep you where you want to be. And that's different for everybody.
So it's so interesting having this conversation. I mean, you're touching a lot of my spiritual awakening and my walk, and just to hear you talk about the different teachers and things you learned just puts me back in that mindset of when I was really really trying to understand who I was and what was I and what was I made of. But you've been able to travel the world, offering clear guidance and healing and comfort. And I'm looking at your website, gain clarity. I mean, genuine clarity, gain direction and healing. One of the services that you offer, and we'll pivot a little bit and let's talk about how you help people. But one of the services, and there are a number of them, so we'll touch on them all. Oracle reading.
Yeah.
Once you get into oracle reading, and how does that typically help others when you offer that particular service?
Yeah. So some of my Chinese ancestors would say that the highest level of assistance or service that you can do for somebody is to help them know themselves. Well,
Yes.
that's really
I like
hard.
that.
It's a hard question when you ask somebody who are they.
Yeah.
Most people don't know because they've been bombarded with toxins in the environment, toxins in the mainstream media in terms of mental and auditory toxins. So with an oracle reading, what I'm doing is I get out of the way and I channel exactly what you need to know about your karma, your soul, your relationships, so that you know who you are. And we aren't these physical bodies. This
No.
is borrowed. This is matter. This is a
A
temple,
biological computer.
a biological computer that
Yes.
Mother Earth has let us borrow to live
Yes.
here. But when you go into divination, when you go into psychic work, I'm looking at your soul. I'm not looking at your body. Well, I am looking at your body because there's reflections of the soul in the body. Um, but it's all about getting out of the way. So if I'm able to get out of the way, which I am every time, then somebody's aunt who passed away 3 years ago comes in the form of a bear and states her name. And it's the same name that this person I've never met before, never heard of the story, uh, same person. That
Wow.
type of stuff can only happen when you can put yourself out of the way.
So when you the rune reading, you have the oracle reading and the rune reading. Is that something similar, or can you tell us about that?
Oh yeah, so the runes. The runes are from some of my Norwegian ancestors, and Odin was a great mystic.
Yeah.
Odin
Oh,
was
Thor's dad.
great mystic who got deified because the people loved him so much. The runes were said to have fallen out of Odin's crown chakra.
Mm,
They would call it the top of the tree of life, Yggdrasil. Um, when he went on a vision quest, hung himself from a sacred tree over a sacred lake. And after, I believe it was 7 or 8 days of hanging upside down by his feet from a tree, the runes came out of his crown chakra. So the runes are a way of divination that works in nature. This is something that a lot of rune readers don't know,
right.
is that the symbols are not only ancient language, they've contributed to modern language, but it's the language of nature. So if you go outside, you'll see different crossings of sticks and markings in stones that are natural runes. And they'll tell you exactly what you need to know as if you were doing an oracle reading or a card reading. So I can be out in nature and I'm feeling something, I need a message, and then I see Legus, which is the rune that's like if you put a little hook off the top of a line like that. And that's the rune of water. It's the rune of going with the flow. And these runes can appear upside down or right side up. When they're upside down, some of the runes can't go upside down because like the Gibo rune is like an X. So whichever way you put it, it's but so for example, like if you find a Legus up right, it'll be teaching you you're going with the flow, keep going with the flow. But if it's upside down, you'll get the opposite message like, hey, you're stagnating, start flowing. So rune reading is, I haven't done too many for people. I'm very proficient at it. But most people want to know about their past lives. Most
Yeah.
people have a yearning because they already know.
Well, just
That's
go ahead and go take, because that was my next question. You offer
yeah.
past life regression. Tell us about it.
So that's where people's souls want to go usually. And when people really want me to know, they'll start sending me visions before they even book the reading.
Hmm.
So, what happens with past life regression is we have so many past lives. Even a lot of the young souls on planet Earth are pretty old,
Hmm.
have had lots and lots of lifetimes. So past life, I call it progression. What I do, people call it regression. I like to do progression because I offer wisdom on how you can move forward, either to amplify that good karma that you already have, or to exit and remediate the cycles of bad karma that people have. So walking people through their karma. So for example, if somebody needs to tune in with the good karma of being spiritually free and liberated. A lot of times, the meditation, the oracle reading, the past life progression will take them with me as a guide, as an arbiter, as a space holder to a time period, and I use the word time relatively, uh, where they were free.
Hmm.
So coming back to that lifetime where they were Native American and living before any colonists had come in a free, genuinely free society,
Question.
is something that will reawaken. Or somebody who is needing to see more of themselves, and then you come to a space of like, here's a lifetime, birth to death, where you fulfilled your destiny and you activated these skills and you can reactivate them now. You don't have to relearn them. So if I'm a kung fu master in 20,000 lifetimes, I don't have to learn it again. I don't have to go to the Shaolin temple to relearn that. I can send it
So,
out.
so it's that point right there. That part right there. When you're doing the progression, and are you having to bring in the higher self? to actually work something out to bring that skill into the current lifetime, or whatever, you know, it is you're trying to learn, or the skill, or the actual trauma that you're experiencing in this current lifetime? Have you found yourself working out something with the higher self, or do you even communicate with the higher self when you do your progressions?
Absolutely, absolutely. Because in the meditation technique that my psychic teacher taught me, you go through the heart chakra, crown chakra,
Yes.
solar plexus to activate and channel that higher soul self, bring that down into the physical body,
Hop
because
on the elevator.
we get to choose how much of our soul we're embodying. That's one of the aspects of free will on this planet. So the higher soul self of not only that person I'm working with, but their ancestors, their spirit animals, their spirit guides, their heavenly beings, their angels, their Buddhas that are coming in for them. Everyone's got all sorts of really cool connections in the spirit realm. And it's really interesting when you bring them in, they're the leaders, right?
Yes.
So, like, when I'm doing a reading and somebody's ancestor comes through, they take over the show. At
Wow.
that point, I'm way far gone, and it's just literally the being that I'm channeling coming through my voice. So, for
So,
example,
okay. Go ahead.
my friend my friend Marky, she got a reading from me, and it was interesting because it was a lot of stuff that didn't really make sense to my physical brain. But I was like, your grandfather is presenting himself. He's a German man. He's got a big beard. He's a very strong dude, and he's showing me this vision of an island in Germany. I didn't even know there was islands in Germany, honestly. And as I'm saying this, I'm out of the way. It's not making sense to the ego, anyways.
Right.
But she's bawling, crying. She's bawling, crying, and she was like, I don't know how that happened, but my grandfather died this few years ago, and he was from this island called Fairmont in Germany, and I had been at a crossroads here because I was deciding whether or not to take a bike trip. I was in Europe at the time with her, to that island. Completely mind blowing stuff that it can't happen to the fakey psychics. That type of stuff doesn't happen to the fakey psychics because you'll see them like this. They'll go, "I am reading your aura," and they're putting on a show, and they're trying to convince themselves really that
Right.
their ego can hold the space when it can't.
Exactly.
You can't have a full ego, fully self-absorbed, and channel crystal clear information that's going to help somebody. You can go a little bit, help out a little bit, but you got to go whoop, zen, wu wei, out of body experience to be able to channel and know where to channel and who to channel. So that's a huge thing on this rant. Is my psychic teacher taught me, as well as my Reiki master, you have to always not trust your eyes, but trust your feelings. And when a being comes forth, they could look like an angel, but when you feel the vibration, if they have this soulless kind of flat line, it could be a deceiver. So
Wait,
you gotta feel for the vibration. You gotta feel for the vibration in people. Some people have a very low vibration that's positive, that like a really grounded grandma of a tribe is like a good example of like a low vibration that's like grounded,
right.
low, practical low. And then you could have people that are really, really high vibration, and it's not beneficial because they're like sunshines, star clouds. Like my qigong teacher and Chinese medicine master TJ Frank, he says that he's got an aspect of himself like a parallel timeline he calls TJ Sparkle Pants, which is like this overly crown chakra, overly upward energy that's not in physical reality.
So we're gonna have a natural a merge. You mentioned Reiki a few times, and that's what I want to bring out next to talk to you about. The Reiki healing sessions that you provide, but more importantly, I'm a galactic healer, energy healer. I'm certified. Chloe Moores was my spiritual teacher, and she taught me channeling, and she taught me how to connect through the heart space, through the crown chakra, how to go from the crown chakra down the elevator to the heart space and walk out. So everything you're saying, I'm with you. But she's a Reiki master, but she loves galactic energy healing because she can channel the patterns. So my question for you is, you practice Reiki, you know it in and out, you heal people. Do you access the Reiki rays that are coming from the earth? I mean, that are coming beaming to the earth? Or do you kind of mix it up a little bit and channel patterns also? How do you perform your healing process? So we can share that with the audience.
So Reiki mastery is humility, pure
Yes.
humility. You have to be so humble to be a master level healer. So when you're in that humility space, my Chinese medicine teacher says, I don't personally like this term, but I like the phrase. He's like, I'm desperate to get them what they need. So for me, it's more like I'm humble enough to allow the light of the stars and the energies of the earth to channel through, not from me, through me into the healing practice. And people have to be consenting. People have to be saying, either coming to me or verbally saying, I need healing, I want healing. Because ultimately people are going to go back into their everyday life without a Reiki practitioner with them, pumping them full of goodness. So it's more so utilizing a lot of light, a lot of color to clear out blockages.
Right.
And a balancing. So I'm always looking for the biological signs, which is a great thing that TJ Frank taught me through Chinese medicine, is I'm looking for the biological signs more in Reiki, as well as the intuitive signs. So if, say, for example, somebody comes for a session and they're like, well, you know what? That's telling me they're way up here. They're way up in their head. They're not focused.
Conscious. Very conscious. Yeah.
Their consciousness is way too crown chakra, way too floating. So for somebody like that, okay, now we're using more earth energy. Now I'm taking energy from the mountains, fusing energy from the trees and the plants and the herbs, and bringing them down into the root chakra. And then something that's polar opposite is somebody that's like overly in the root, and they're not getting that spiritual light. They're in a darkness. So somebody like that would be just got the blinders on, and they're like, well, I really could use a lot more money, and my relationship this, all like, and their voice will go lower, their eyes will go lower, they'll be more robust physically, and these are all signs that perhaps they need some more sparkles, and they need an expansion of consciousness. But that also happens for the sparkle pants, for the rainbow sunshine Reiki fairies that are out there that are all crown chakra and no heart chakra, no root chakra, no feet chakras. That expansion of consciousness for them is learning how to slow down these very high vibrational star codes down into their root chakra. Qigong is great for this. Down into their feet and manifesting into reality, expanding physical consciousness. So that was a huge thing for my path, because I'm a Pisces. I very much so, through my early life, was escaping. out of body through the crown. I don't want to be here. New York's too polluted. People are too mean. The school system sucks. All of this, the food is terrible, processed. Whoa, out. I go out to some faraway dimension where I don't have to experience all the suffering. But that actually causes suffering because if you're never taking care of your garden, a lot of weeds pop up. So that's
So
really, for me, it was expansion of consciousness happened more so from taking all those downloads that I already had, a lot of crown chakra stuff, bringing it into the heart, healing sound, bringing into the expansion of the root chakra. How can I take these heavenly ideas, these heavenly energies, and put it into physical reality?
that's very, very interesting, and it makes a ton of sense. You know, so you have offered and you still offer all these different services to people, but then you not predominantly, but a lot of what you do a lot of mentoring, you do a lot of one-on-one training. You offer packages for celebrities that want to know psychic abilities. And I guess one of the more interesting things, like for people like me, we've gotten past a certain level. Now we want to just fine tune, and we want to find someone good that we can listen to and train with. And so talk about those services that you have that are geared towards mentoring and training the trainer. I mean, the actual people out here that are exercising these modalities.
Yeah, I personally love mentoring because I know what it's meant to so many people, not just myself, but so many people. When you go to the Indian culture, they believe that the guru, the mentor, is higher than God. And when you ask them why, they say because the guru can bring you to God. Guru can bring you to that universal force.
Right.
So when I'm working with people in mentorship, all my other stuff comes in. So it's like I'm just looking and first of all observing,
Hmm.
intuitively saying, okay, what does this person need? Communicating, what would you like to experience? And then I'm like a genie because I just will like take whatever really the person needs to reach that next level, and I'll go down to that spot.
Right.
And I like to talk about uh, proper mentoring with the analogy of taking the stairs, the elevator, or
Hmm.
the escalator. So I've taken the stairs. I encourage people to take the stairs, but you got to meet them at the step where they're at. But
Yes.
a lot of people take psychedelics or they go through this blast off experience where it's like a rocket ship. It's like an elevator. But when you take an elevator, you don't get the knowledge of every step. So observing where people are at and just going down and walking with them. So being on that staircase of whatever they need to achieve in life and just walking with them saying, oh, hey, um, what personally feels right to you? And the only thing we really need to learn is love, especially unconditional love. But I'm a trickster, so like I gotta trick people into that. Because if I just go up to somebody who's not open or receptive and say, "Hey, love is the answer," if you work from the heart chakra, that's the center of your body. Just love everybody unconditionally, and you'll be fine. Whatever. They're not at that level of the staircase. They're not on that step yet. So I gotta go down and trick them into being loving. so like
Wow.
one of my great mentors, all my great mentors have contributed to my great mentorship. TJ Frank, he would see me getting unfocused or getting too heady or getting into some deep spiritual searching, and he would just go and just like recenter and
Right.
uh, remind me that the ha breath, the aloha, that heart consciousness, that's all you need. If you
We
can go,
didn't talk about the breath and how important it was with all the stuff we talked about tonight. The breath is important.
yeah. So the breath is the syncopation with the universal heart.
Hmm.
So inspiration means inhalation. Inspiration also means you're inspired. Inspiration also means you're connecting with the universal rhythm.
Wow.
So you can't not have a rhythm. Somebody who doesn't have a rhythm is dead. So like your breath is constantly like the music of your life. So you're inhaling love, that's what gets exhaled.
Right.
When you're inhaling hate, that's what gets exhaled. People don't know this. People don't know about their own power. But you teach them about the breath, conscious breath, not just do breath of
Kalapate.
fire or like the kundalini, all of this stuff
Hmm.
that works for some people. For me, it's too much like a rocket ship energy, but rhythm. And
Yes.
what music are you trying to play? What art are you trying to make in your life? Are you trying to slow down your breath so you can be in the present moment,
And I,
really feel your body?
yes.
Or are you trying to start a fire and get hyped up and getting that chi ignited and getting ready for an athletic performance or something like that? And that's all different music. And we can't hear it, but we can feel it. We can feel that vibration.
The breath is intelligent. The breath is everything. And when you start to focus on it, it it can move you into a different dimension, or you can use it to calm yourself. But it's vital. But we're a little bit past our time, and conversations like this, you just want to keep having. You just want to just you don't want to stop. But we're definitely will get you back on. But I want to again let the audience know Oracle Owen, www.oracleowen.com. You must check out this amazing talent and figure out how Owen can help you better your life. And there may be areas that you want to practice or you want to speak privately with Owen, and you should just go to his website and check him out. Also, you can email Owen at owenmuller777 at gmail.com and get with him and find out what's good for you. But Oracle Owen, do you have any last words to leave with the audience tonight? I mean, we've had a
Oh yeah.
very high level, um, full of just information, style conversation. I loved it. Do you have anything you want to leave the audience tonight with?
Yeah, last words, words of love. So, unconditional love is something that there's no good or bad.
Hmm.
If we're constantly taught to think in good, bad, happy, sad, black, white, up, down, that's all nonsense. If you love, oneness,
Mm.
purity. John Lennon said love is the answer. Jimi Hendrix said the world will know peace when the power of love overcomes the love of power. So you have that love consciousness. That's all that matters. Because you could be experiencing anything. If you teach yourself to love it, especially loving your triggers and loving the hard things to love. It's easy to love your family, it's easy to love your kid, it's easy to love your best friends, but loving people that really trigger you, loving things that really trigger you can open you up and open you up to oneness. Because the closer we get to oneness, the closer we get to love. That's the answer because you could love anything.
Mm.
Anything. You could love violence. You could love peace. Love is love. It's everything. It's It's the universal force. It's what
Wow.
gives a Jedi his power, or her power. Sorry, or their power.
Or that power. Okay. I want you to hang in there, hang in the back. Don't go anywhere. I'm gonna move you up the screen. I'm gonna wrap it up. I'm gonna come back to you. Okay. Okay. What a great show. Owen, Oracle Owen, you have to check him out. And I knew that this would be a special type conversation, but a deep conversation. And I implore you to listen or rewind this and listen to every word that Oracle Owen has said tonight in regards to healing methods, in regards to getting clear guidance, understanding methods and ways to meditate, understanding how to connect with your spirit guides, understanding how to channel or become a medium yourself, or to even if you're a practitioner, get more profound information and different techniques from Owen. So this is a great time to learn and to share and to understand different ways to really tune yourself in to your higher self and tune yourself in to ways to improve your current life. Again, thank you for listening to Expansion of Consciousness. Again, if you want to reach out to Owen, we have his website right here, www.oracleowen.com. If you want to email Owen, it's Owen Muller at 777@gmail.com. Obviously, if you want to listen to this show again, you can go to the expansionofconsciousness.net. You can also listen to the show again on YouTube. Just go to our YouTube channel, Expansion of Consciousness. But until then, we'll see you the next time. And we really appreciate you coming out tonight. Thank you so much.